Here sits the assistant gunner. Here's where it starts. And this is his lever. He drives forward, turns right or left. The rear wheels steer. What speed does it reach? 16 kilometers per hour.
Sounds more like a farmer's tractor than a fearsome weapon of war, doesn't it? But don't write it off just yet, because if it were truly a joke, Russian Lancet drones wouldn't be hunting it so aggressively.
This Lancet came to visit us. A loitering munition. Unsuccessful. It was flying and our guys shot it down. If it hits the target, it'll cause damage. Serious damage to the gun.
So today we'll ask, is the FH70 a weapon worth fearing? Or just old junk in a modern war? Ukrainian artillerymen will tell the truth. Can you guess how many countries had to work together to bring this gun to life? Here's the answer.
This is the FH70, a 155mm howitzer. It was built in the 1970s. Since 1978, it's been in service with NATO countries. It was jointly developed by 3 nations: the United Kingdom, Germany, and Italy.
Almost 60 years later, the FH70 is back in action. But can it survive in today's battlefield, where Russian Lancet drones circle overhead like Japanese kamikaze pilots hunting for prey?
One was shot down above our positions. This is part of that Lancet. You can see the rear section, actually the engine area. It was shot down here, and there are plenty of these birds out there.
In World War II, kamikazes were met by American anti-aircraft gunners with heavy calibers. In Ukraine today, Russian Lancets are hunted by soldiers with shotguns. But what happens when the FH70 has to face down 152mm counter battery fire? Will Ukrainian crews hold their ground like Oleksandr Usyk in the ring, standing strong against an opponent with a heavy hook? But first, hit that like button. It helps YouTube push this story to more people around the world. This crew was lucky. They survived and kept their gun in working condition. Others weren't so fortunate. They found themselves in a brutal counter-battery duel with Russian artillery, and their howitzer took a hit that knocked it out of action.
They damaged our gun. Missed with the first round, but the second one got us. They hit the side, damaged it, but didn't destroy it.
Luckily, damaged equipment can be repaired and sent back into action. But here's the catch. The time it takes to fix it is critical. The fewer guns on the line, the harder it is for infantry in the trenches to hold out. Ukrainian soldiers grit their teeth and play the long game. But can the FH70 keep up with that tempo?
It's not designed for this pace of war. The equipment wears down a lot. Yes, we've had to change barrels. They were extremely worn out. Other parts get repaired.
Unlike the Russians, Ukrainians can't afford to burn through their artillery. They don't have massive warehouse stockpiles. For example, Ukraine has only around 40 FH70s, guarded like diamonds. To minimize losses, crews dig in, very deep. These dug-in artillery pits shield the howitzers from shrapnel and drone strikes.
Now we've switched to caponiers and are standing in a standard position. It's good, safe, because if a sudden shelling comes in, you can lower the table and have somewhere to hide.
But Russian shells and drones aren't the only threat. Bad weather, mud, and dust are constant enemies too. What do soldiers do? Like true gentlemen, they cover their lady with a raincoat.
The seat rotates and moves. It has a lift mechanism up and down, left and right. And when we start work, we remove a cover that protects it from rain.
And we noticed another clever trick: how Ukrainians protect the gun's most valuable piece of equipment.
We remove the armor that protects the panorama. That's the most important part of all this, because if something else goes wrong, it can be repaired or patched up. But if the panorama is hit, you'll have to find another one and fix it. And that's much harder.
In Ukraine, the FH70 doesn't sit around in depots or training grounds, sipping oil like Aperol. It stings hard on the battlefield, like a wasp. As soon as partners delivered this weapon, it was sent straight to the front, where new targets appear almost every hour.
It's designed to hit any type of enemy forces. It's got a very broad spectrum. You can hit infantry, mortar nests, basically, both personnel and equipment.
The FH70 has had to go head-to-head with Russian artillery, which outnumbered it and posed a constant threat. But even under those odds, Ukrainian crews didn't sit idle. They fought back. They joined counter-battery duels where the odds were stacked against them from the start. Did they manage to play it 1-to-1? Or land the decisive shot like the winning touchdown in the final seconds of the Super Bowl? Let the commander answer.
We had just one gun, but it fired with incredible accuracy. We could destroy a target with a single shot from the first round. That's very hard to do. My gunner Roman, he's that good.
And that accuracy had consequences. The Russians started taking irreversible losses. Did it level the playing field on that part of the front?
Before the offensive in Kursk, there was much more Russian artillery here. Now it's a lot less, or they're using it less. But before the offensive, there was much more, and we destroyed a lot of their artillery.
Once Ukrainians switched from maneuver defense to the offensive, the picture changed completely. The number of shells flying at Russians skyrocketed, thousands every month. Imagine how hot those barrels were after that kind of tempo. At that heat, artillerymen probably could have boiled water for coffee.
In 2 months, the battery fired almost 3,000 shells. There was a lot of work. We destroyed many targets. We hit columns, concentrations of vehicles, concentrations of manpower.
When the front line stabilized, the Russians didn't abandon their attempts to push forward. For this artillery crew, that meant endless assaults they had to break with fire. The result? Let's just say, the Russians weren't fans.
From early morning, the assaults begin, and we and our brothers, the artillerymen and the rocket guys, we work. We work non-stop. We fire fragmentation rounds. We fire different shells. The assault groups are destroyed.
Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the brutal realities of modern war. The Ukrainians managed to stockpile enough ammunition to strike back hard. One day, they hit a dugout where Russian ammunition was stored. The blast was so massive that, for a moment, Russian infantry thought they were in Hiroshima, not Eastern Europe.
It started smoking slowly. They waited, and then the ammo depot exploded, and a Russian on comms said, "Это был ядерный гриб." That was a nuclear mushroom.
But believe it or not, that wasn't the most spectacular strike from the FH70. One Ukrainian gunner managed to land a 155mm round on a very fat target, a Russian BUK air defense system, the kind that protects the skies over occupied territory. Its value? Tens of millions of dollars. To grasp that scale, imagine it all in cash, enough to fill a New York studio apartment floor to ceiling.
Recently, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I hit a BUK. If it's, say, a mortar platoon or tanks, that's usually 15 to 16 kilometers. But if it's a BUK, then it's 25 to 26 kilometers. It hides. It won't sit on the front line waiting for us.
That kind of precision is possible thanks to the crew's surgical accuracy. First, they fire a spotting round. Then the second lands right on target. Hell yeah, that's what darts looks like for grown men.
The accuracy is such that the first shell falls about 50 to 60 meters from the target. With that kind of precision, you can hit the target with the second round. The Russians really don't like that.
But no matter how skilled these gunners are, they're still human, not machines. The constant tempo burns out nerves fast. Some men stay in sector for half a year without rotation or leave. So what keeps their spirit alive? Because in this kind of war, strong morale is half the battle. Of course, it feels good when they tell the gunners they destroyed a Russian mortar team, a drone operator, or an artillery piece. But deep down, what they really want is simple: for it all to end.
Yes, of course it's nice when they say we destroyed drone operators, or a mortar, or their artillery. But honestly, we just want it all to be over.
Despite the exhaustion, Ukrainian artillerymen continue to impress with their effectiveness. And they've got one big advantage over the Russians. Want to know what it is? Listen carefully.
By the time Russians send info to their HQ that they're under fire, process it and give firing orders back. We've already hit them and moved out.
That lack of bureaucracy speeds up their kill chain dramatically. Want more details? Grab some popcorn, because you're about to get a step-by-step guide to artillery life. First, the howitzer quickly drives itself into position.
We detach it from the towing vehicle, find a gap, drive it in. That's it. We don't have to cut down half the tree line. The crew doesn't have to overstrain, most of it's hydraulic. We deploy quickly.
Next, the crew gets the firing coordinates and aligns the gun.
They bring it here. We set up our regular Soviet busol, aiming instrument. Then I use the black scales to orient the gun. After that, I switch to the red scales, pick a reference point in the main direction, and that's how I do the aiming.
For Ukrainians who trained on Soviet artillery, the FH70 feels familiar.
Most panoramas also have busols, so nothing new. If you take someone from another Soviet system, sit him here and show him. 15 minutes later, he's almost fully ready to work.
Loading is also straightforward. Once prepared in the rear, the process becomes muscle memory.
Снаряд, лоток піднімається.
Loading is very simple. You put the shell on the tray rises, the rammer pushes it in, then you insert the propellant charge. A special magazine with pyrotechnic cartridges is loaded. The cartridge is automatically rammed, and the shot is fired.
Finally comes the best part, the shot. It can be fired in two ways.
Це коли є якийсь невеликий заряд, і це можна буде робити безпечно.
On the side, when there's a smaller charge, we can do it at a safe distance. But usually, we pull this cord that stretches far back, you step away to a safe spot, yank the cord, and the shot goes off.
While filming, we caught a sweet moment. One gunner loves his howitzer so much, he named it after his girlfriend. But the real question is, who gets more jealous?
Usually a gun is named after the gunner's girl. What's yours called? Karina. And what's Karina's character? Tough.
In the end, the crew is satisfied with their Western howitzer. They've proven that even older weapons can still be lethal in modern war. And above all, they're grateful for NATO military aid.
Збоїв як таких фактично
She
немає.
may be old, but she's reliable. Practically no malfunctions. With proper care, she works great and shoots accurately. Partner support works well. I'd say she's a reliable friend, always there to save the infantry in time.
So, what do you think? What's the FH70's greatest advantage? Its 155mm caliber? Its ability to self-propel into position? Or its simplicity of use and maintenance? Drop your take in the comments.